Hi, everyone. Welcome back. It's TnT Talks, and I'm your host, Christina TnT. We are bringing you 20-minute conversations to ignite motivation in life and business as we deal with this COVID-19 crisis and beyond. We're going to find a new normal, and I'm going to continue these conversations because I have some amazing connections that I want to share with the world. And today, that amazing person is Kara Smith. She's out of Bend. And Kara, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to do this with you.
You look amazing too. I love that red. That power red looks so good on you.
Thank you. It's my favorite shirt.
Well, why don't you go ahead and tell everyone a little bit about what you do and kind of how you got there.
Okay. So I am a financial planner. So I run a financial planning practice. Right now, I'm entirely virtual, working with people all over the place. So really what I do is I help people achieve their financial goals in either the best case scenario or also planning for some of those what if scenarios. Right now, we're in a what if scenario. So really, it's all about helping people be as strategic as they can with what they have.
That's awesome. And how long have you been doing that?
So I just hit my 4-year anniversary in doing this. And I've been reflecting on it a lot lately. It's crazy how much I've learned and grown through this career.
Yeah, you say 4 years, and knowing you for a few years, I feel like that's an understatement because you are so well versed in what you do and you're educated and you're great at educating other people. So 4 years, are you sure? Like, there's more to that story, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes people ask me, like, did you always want to be a financial advisor? And I'm like, no, nobody wakes up and is like, yeah, I want to be a financial advisor. At least I didn't. I grew up in Prineville, so rural Oregon, first-gen college student. My parents didn't have a financial advisor. So I didn't know what that was. But growing up, I was always very academically inclined. And I actually didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was posed to be the valedictorian of my high school, and still I didn't know what I wanted to do. People asked me, and I had my answer that I would tell them. But it wasn't like anything really that I was passionate about. I'd tell people I wanted to be a pharmacist because I was good at math and science. I didn't really want to be a pharmacist. I didn't know what I wanted. But we went on a field trip for my AP calculus class, and we went to Deschutes Brewery in Bend. Our teachers took a bunch of 17-year-olds to a brewery for a field trip. Best field trip ever. And yes, we did get the tour, no tasting. And they had a couple people present on how they used math, calculus, and statistics specifically in their job. And I remember hearing the CFO speak, so the Chief Financial Officer of Shrewsbury speak. And I had no clue what a CFO was at that point in my life, but I was like, wow, that is cool. I want to do that. And so brave 17-year-old me reaches out to him and does a job shadow and learns all about his career path. And I ended up finding out kind of how he got into the world of finance, and I learned a lot about it. And from then on out, that was my dream. And so following his path, I decided to get a bachelor's in economics. And then I also got a master's in business, which is also what he had. And I did that in 5 years. Most people, it takes 6 years to get a bachelor's and a master's. I went through an accelerated program at Willamette University, which is why I went there. And so I was able to have a master's degree by the age of 21.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I always love hearing your story. It's so inspiring.
Yeah, but even, it's interesting, even in the middle of my MBA program, I still knew I wanted to go into business and finance, but what specifically that looked like, I was still not sure. And I ended up learning that I love a lot of aspects about business. I loved marketing, accounting, HR, data analysis, finance. I loved it all. Entrepreneurship too. And my biggest fear was being bored. actually. And so I did job shadows on job shadows. They had a class, they made us do 10 as a part of that class. I did 20 because I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Still. Anyways, I ended up meeting a financial advisor in Salem where I was going to school. And initially I wasn't so sure, but he saw a potential in me that I didn't see. And he pushed me until eventually he got me to sit down for an informational interview. And as soon as I learned just a little bit about what it means to be a financial advisor and what that career path looks like, I was sold. I had realized that was exactly what I wanted for my life. It's the ultimate personal and professional experience, but even bigger than that, you get to have an ultimate impact on the community. And growing up in a community where people don't know a lot about money, and my family didn't know a whole lot either. We're not taught this stuff in high school. I went to college, I got a master's degree. We still didn't learn the stuff we needed to know about personal finance. And so the more I learned about it, the more passionate I became. And so I actually started my financial planning practice while I was getting my master's degree.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've been at this for a few years, and I know with you and networking groups and meeting people in person, you know, you're a very personable work.
Yeah, I love people.
And so how has that changed now that we've been under social isolation and distancing for the last, I lost track of how many days we're at. So
yeah,
you moved virtual, you said. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I've had the tools, thankfully, I've had the tools to continue to do my job and serve my people. I've had these tools even before COVID. I wasn't really using them entirely though. So pre-COVID, I was in my office every day in the Old Mill District, and I was meeting with my clients in person in the conference room. And now I'm in my home office, which is what you can see here, and meeting with my clients on Zoom. I've got DocuSign, I've got all the digital tools to do everything. So I'm thankful that my job doesn't require me to be any specific place, and that I'm still able to make an impact on people with technology. So that's actually been a goal of mine, is to do more virtual work to increase that efficiency for me, and also to be able to help more people. I mean, I am in Bend, I live in Bend, my office is in Bend, but I have clients in Prineville. Mm-hmm. And so like one of my clients, they're a couple, she is 60, but he's 70. And I was thinking, ooh, I don't know if they're going to want to meet with me on Zoom. And we had our Zoom meeting, and then they were like, can we meet like this all the time? We don't want to have to drive to Bend to see you. So it's been pretty incredible. I feel like a lot of my clients have enjoyed Zoom, able to share my screen. The big thing I miss though is giving people hugs.
Yes.
My thing with my business is I always like to start with a handshake, end with a hug. That's kind of my motto. So virtual hugs aren't quite the same, but networking wise, and I do a lot of that too. I'm pretty involved with the chamber and all kinds of things. There's been some virtual stuff. It's not entirely the same, but it's still good, and I'm glad that I have that. So.
All right. And now that you're in your home office, how else is that affecting your work? I know I've been an entrepreneur for 12 years, and being able to stay driven and making sure that we're actually getting up and getting dressed and not just going to work in our pajamas and getting in that right mindset, because you know, you always look on point. So how do you stay in that right mindset?
It has been challenging. I do love my home office. In fact, my home office is nicer than my office in the Old Mill District because I have a whole bedroom to myself. But I will admit, I've been setting up my calendar actually so that I do client meetings with the video on certain days. And then on the other days I'm working. And so on the work days where I'm not doing a lot of meetings, I'm actually wearing whatever I feel like wearing that day. And I'm probably not putting on makeup. And frankly, I love doing that. I also love dressing up for my people. So I get a little bit of both, but I have been struggling a little bit with motivation. And I think that's just kind of like, I never leave my house, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, this home office you see behind me, this used to be our stuff room. So by stuff room means it had no purpose. We just threw crap in there. And I always had a dream of really making this room look nice. And I had a dream of moving my practice more virtual. But I suffer from procrastination just like all of us do. And I just frankly hadn't done it. I knew what I wanted to do, hadn't done it. This gave me the push that I needed. So this room looks entirely different. I spent a lot of time making it look nice, and I still have some things I'm working on, but I was kind of thankful to be pushed to do this. I needed that push. So.
Well, that's good. You're utilizing this time as an opportunity versus an excuse. And I keep saying that again and again in these interviews, and a lot of people use that excuse, if I only had the time. Yeah. Well, we all have a lot more time right now. So you're actually doing something with it. And I applaud you for that. So that's great. I also want to point out that you mentioned something about time blocking, essentially, is, the term for it, and putting those appointments together so that when you get dressed up and you get your power shirt on and you're looking good, like make it for more than one purpose.
Yep.
And I think that is great advice, because instead of just feeling like, gosh, today I do just kind of want to sit in my yoga pants and, maybe pull your hair back a little bit and get some stuff done. And I like that. Good.
Yeah.
Let's move back to a little bit more about finance, because I'm actually kind of a nerd about this, even though I'm not in that particular industry. You'll notice because I've interviewed multiple financial people so far, because I think it's so crucial that people are informed about this. What do you think not what you think, I know you know the answer. So what are some common myths or misunderstandings that people have about finances?
Yeah. So number one, you don't have to be ultra wealthy to have a need for a financial planner, to work with a professional. You don't have to be a Bill Gates, right, to need that. So that's a huge one. Another tip, most financial professionals like myself do a free consultation. So you can basically interview them and figure out, is this even the right person for me? Let's see, other myths. Sometimes people think financial planner means I'm just going to go in and like tell them how to manage their day-to-day budget and what to spend money on and what not to spend money on. And I give all kinds of tips on that, but what I actually help people with is the big picture and the long term, and the what if planning, the plan B. And so that's another thing. And then investing. So investing doesn't have to be like gambling or like the lottery. Mm-hmm. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. And sometimes people feel like that's what it is. But if you use tried and true principles and practices, if you're doing it right, it's not like gambling, right? So like if you're having diversified portfolios and different things like that, removing emotion, now all of a sudden you're not gambling anymore. So those are some typical things that I hear. Oh, also like movies like The Wolf of Wall Street and like what you see on TV and movies about the financial industry are not real life. Not even close. I mean, they're really fun movies, but it's nothing like that.
Yeah, you gotta add that drama.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's not nearly as dirty as people seem to think it is when they like just base it off of TV and movies.
Yeah. So during those consultations and kind of digging in, you help people understand what options are available.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. So basically I am getting an idea of their goals, their values, their concerns. I call it all the mushy gushy stuff. That's the context to the numbers in dollars and cents. And so we're going to spend a lot of time figuring out the mushy gushy stuff. It's kind of like a counseling session. And then we're going to get the dollars and numbers and cents. We're going to figure out what's your financial snapshot. What are all your assets, all your liabilities? What insurances do you have? What does your budget look like? All of that. And based off of that, those two things we combine together. And so my free consultation is actually a 2-meeting process typically. So the first meeting is data gathering, making sure we like each other and trust each other, and me getting that context as well as the numbers. And then the second meeting is where I'm putting together in between and then presenting an analysis and some recommendations and some ideas on what specifically makes sense for you. And then also during that meeting, I'm doing a ton of education because people just don't know enough about this stuff. So I'm not the person that's going to throw around a bunch of jargon to try to impress you and try to make you think I'm smart. Instead, I'm going to use the jargon maybe, but then explain what that means in lay people terms.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
So do you see, what kind of mistakes do you see people make when it comes to their finances or money? And especially right now with this COVID crisis, I'm sure there's a lot of panic and, what do I do with my money? Should I save this stimulus? Should I, all these different options. Tell us about that.
Yeah. I mean, times right now are, for some people, really hard. And for some people, they're just going about life like normal. So it really depends. And so I truly believe financial planning and financial advice, for the most part, really shouldn't be a one-size-fits-all type thing. But just generally, places where I see people going wrong, so to speak, there's some really basic things that you would think make sense, but you'd be surprised how many people are not doing this properly. And I know this is something you're really big on, Christina, is making sure that you're not spending more than you earn.
Yes, I am a strong advocate for that.
Not rocket science. That part is not rocket science. So how do you figure that out? Okay, you do a budget. Now, budget, that's a boring word. Maybe call it a cash flow plan.
I like that one.
Or a cash flow analysis or something like that. Basically, what are all my inflows and what are all my outflows? And how will those measure up? So that's a big thing. But, also a lot of people kind of turn a blind eye or they're in denial. That's definitely a place where you can go wrong. Denial is not going to get you anywhere. Might make you feel better, just like dieting and exercise. You can just ignore it, but it doesn't really make you any more fit. So, and then other things like, not goal setting, or maybe you set the goal, but then you don't track the goal. It's a lot like other things in life, frankly. Another one is overconfidence, cockiness. So that has happened, and that's more so on the investing side.
Okay.
So if you're overconfident and being too cocky with your investments, typically you will eventually go wrong, right? And so that's where I talk about removing emotion. But fun fact, I'm sure there's probably a lot of women listening to this. I know most of my clients are women, and some of my closest friends are women who run businesses. Women are actually better at investing than men. Not to create a competition or anything, but it's because we don't get too cocky. And we work with professionals because we know we don't know it all. And we know that you can't know everything. And you don't know what you don't know. So anyways, that's a little fun fact for you about
I like it.
Women and money.
You have classes on that, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Are you going to be moving any of those virtually?
That's a great question.
Some of those seminars and everything, because I know you had an event planned. We went for a walk down the river and all these things got canceled.
I know.
So
yeah, so March is Women's History Month, And I'm really passionate about women empowerment, especially empowering ourselves through financial education. And that's what my whole event was focused on. And I had an incredible venue, so many cool things. And these like adorable pens that say hashtag plan like a girl. Yeah.
Love it.
And anyways, I will be rescheduling my event. I'd love to do it in person. So I can give everybody these cool pens mostly. But I do a lot of educational seminars and workshops and have historically done a lot of stuff locally. And I'm exploring doing some stuff online and virtual, but I haven't figured out all those details yet, so I don't have much to share.
Okay. I won't pry too much then. What are some tips that you have about those money mistakes, especially right now, that you can help kind of guide people and what's happening?
So with right now,
Or overall?
yeah. So with right now, cash reserves are key. If you're in a spot right now where you've come upon hard times, maybe you or your spouse have lost an income or your income is decreased. You've got to do everything you can to decrease expenses and increase income and build that cash reserve if you can. And if you maybe already have a cash reserve, this is the time to dip into that. That's what an emergency fund is for.
So don't run out and get a credit card.
Yeah. So if you have been smart and you have built that emergency fund, that's what we built it for. Now is an okay time to dip into that. But, it is important to take a look at what's my cash reserve, what's my burn rate, how much am I spending per month, and how many months do I have left if I had no income? And so that's an important number to calculate. And then that gives you an idea as how to strategize next. And so you build out your plan A, and then maybe plan B is going into some debt. Credit card might not be the best route. There's a lot of really interesting options out there depending on what's going on. Like if you're a business owner, if you're an employee, there's some cool loans out there. Obviously, there's unemployment if you qualify for that, and there's an additional bonus there too. Bonus is not the right term. Not the right term. But yeah, so I think even if you're not like in an extremely hard time right now, just as a general practice, it's really important to figure out, okay, what's my plan A, best case scenario? Okay, what if things go wrong? What's my plan B? Okay, what if that still isn't enough? What's my plan C, D, E, F, G, right? And so just figuring out, okay, what's my order of priority? What things get cut? What things get shifted? Are we selling assets? Are we doing a cash out refi? Are we doing a home equity line of credit? There are different tools we can use that are better than a credit card, but are still in the realm of debt. And so it's important to go through that entire list and figure out in your circumstance, what would you do? Even if you're not doing it today. And that just simply by doing that activity relieves some anxiety. It releases that anxiety because now you have a plan. It might not be the prettiest plan, but it's a plan, which is better than the unknown. So that's kind of what I have had some tough conversations with people, even clients of mine, where we haven't had the time to build up the reserves that they should have. And so now we're doing some of that planning. It's not fun by any means, but it's valuable. But I would say the takeaway is we're learning from this right now. And so there's always something to be learned. I don't think that was the right use of that word, but and so a big takeaway for me right now is I know the importance of what I do, but this is the first time that we've had an economic fluctuation quite like this, right? Mm-hmm. And now I have even more conviction in how important it is to have a really solid financial plan and have all the tools in place.
And since you help with that, how can people get a hold of you if they want to set up a consultation or learn more and ask you questions, where can they find you?
Oh, yeah, great question. So I've made it pretty easy. So planning with Kara is kind of my tagline. So if you go to Instagram, you can find me at Planning with Kara. Facebook, you put the little facebook.com/planning with Kara. Same thing with LinkedIn. And then there's my website, which is karalsmith.nm.com. But what I think is actually the best resource, and I have to pull it up on my computer because I don't always remember it. You might have to write it down, but it's Linktree/planning with Kara, but it's linktr.ee/planning with Kara. If you go there, you'll be able to, from there, go to my website, go to my Facebook, yada, yada, yada. And I have some cool surprises in there too.
Awesome. Make sure to send that to me so I can put it in the show notes, because I don't have that one. And
okay. Cool.
Aside from the consultation, was there anything else that you wanted to provide for our audience today?
Yeah, so I am always doing free financial planning consultation. That's part of my business. That's normal. I'm also doing virtual mini chats, so maybe not as in depth as a consultation, but maybe you just want to ask a question or go through that ABCDEFG plan that we talked about. Just have another opinion. But even beyond that, something I'm really excited about is I run my platform with a Fortune 500 company. So I have tremendous resources. And so they have all kinds of checklists, worksheets, guides, videos even that Northwestern Mutual's put together for me to share with people. So topics spanning from budgeting, investing, how do you combine money with love, checklists for new parents, so many things. I have so many things that I want to share them. And so the way that I'm doing that is if you go to that Linktree address, one of the buttons is to request digital resources. Okay. And so you just click that link, you answer a questionnaire, and I basically have listed all the cool resources I have. And you just check which ones you want. And then I'll follow up with those resources.
Awesome. I didn't know about that. I want to go check all the boxes.
Yeah.
I want all the resources.
Check all the boxes. People can also sign up for my newsletter. And I have actually 4 different newsletters, whether you want something weekly, quarterly, or monthly. Everything from planning to investing, watching the market, all of that stuff. So yeah, fill it out.
I love it. Thank you so much, Kara. It's been so awesome having you. And I know you've provided some amazing information and resources. I will make sure all of those links are put in the show notes for everyone to go get the information and contact you, because I'm telling you, people, if you haven't met with her, or if you don't have an advisor already, or if you do, I mean, you know, keep your options open, go interview, I mean, diversify, right? But be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so that you can get notified when our next amazing interview comes up. But until next time, I'll see you later.
Thank you.